With some items up massively in the past 30 days, should you be buying right now? Well, talking about the Paris stickers for starters, I think this is an area where you should probably be holding out. If we want to look at the hollows, they're still extremely expensive. If we talk about the glitters, which we just previously did, we can see that some of them are on a decent increase, but I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain the current price, especially when competition comes in. And talking about the papers, they're probably going to be at this 3-cent price point for the near future, at least in my opinion. Therefore, I would probably not.
SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins, with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options, and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description.
Now, talking about the Paris capsules, it's a little bit of a different story. That's because these are currently quite expensive. If we want to look at them, we can see the Challenger's autograph at 36 cents, which is significantly more expensive than the 25 cents it was sold for nearly 100 days. Now, this is a very interesting predicament because we know these capsules were sold at 25 cents, and buying them right now at almost 50% more is a really questionable buy, especially considering these were for sale just less than a month ago. With that being said, when we're talking long term, I think these have a ton of potential, a ton of opportunity. If we want to look at the ROIs inside of them, they've started to get down to a level we expect to see, and therefore I think we're probably going to see a little bit more consistent growth from these capsules in the next couple of months, provided there's nothing that comes up. And that's the biggest thing when we're talking about Paris capsules. Where's the competition going to come? Obviously, we have the CS2 major, but there's probably going to be something that takes away the interest from Paris in the shorter period here. We don't know, and that's basically what you're going to be investing or risking on with these capsules. And we're talking long term, they're a relatively safe play, but in the shorter period here, there's definitely something that could wipe them out, and we see an RMR 2.0 situation and the fact that an operation or a big update comes in and destroys a lot of the growth. With that being said, I still think it's a great idea to pick up some Paris if you don't have any Stockholm or Antwerp. We could look at the prices of Antwerp and see that it's gone up rather significantly, especially in the past 6 months, and therefore that opens up the door for Paris, especially now that it's starting to get its momentum, to have an opportunity to go ahead and get some pretty easy increases back up to maybe a similar-ish price point that Antwerp was stuck at for quite a while. Now, talking about cases is a little bit of an interesting situation. That's because we can see in the background here, these are all coming from CSGO Stocks, which is a website that uses Steam Market prices. And the Steam Market price for a lot of these cases has been maybe a 50% increase, especially when we're talking about the cheaper rare cases. But when we focus on buff, we see a very drastic difference. And that's the fact that we're maybe only seeing a 20% increase or even 15% increase for like the Prisma 1. Especially in the past month, this is a very interesting trend because we don't see this when we're looking at the Steam Market prices. And even some of the older rare cases we can see have still seen some pretty decent growth on the Steam Market, but not so much on buff. Now, why is this happening? This is probably happening because of a couple different things. First of all, there's just a lot of hype inside of CSGO investing, or CS2 investing rather, on the Steam Market compared to buff. Buff is a little bit more of a slower marketplace. It takes a little bit longer for trends to go ahead and adapt there. And honestly speaking, a lot of the people that are picking up these cases are probably unboxing them, and we can see the unboxing numbers going absolutely wild. If you want to unbox cases right now, you're probably not going to go on buff where it may take 12 hours for you to receive your case, whereas you can buy it right now on the Steam Market, go ahead and unbox it and get your 10-cent skin. Now, talking about these cases, I think they are a spectacular purchase, especially in the long term, but when we're talking the short term here, we're probably going to start seeing a little bit more volatility if we see something come up. We haven't seen any major updates in the past couple of weeks, and that's once again one of the big things we're talking about when we're talking about these rare cases. I like them long term, and the short term here, there's definitely a little bit of volatility, especially if we do start to see the player numbers going down actually have some sort of tangible impact on the rest of the market inside of the case market. Now, one reason you might not want to invest right now is because of a major update. The truth is we haven't seen a major update, whether that's an operation or a brand new case, in historical long periods, and we're getting to that point now where people are starting to get restless. We're losing players, and I don't think that's the most impactful thing, but Valve definitely sees that. We can see the amount of updates they're pushing out and say that they're involved, but they're not pushing out the content people most desperately want to see at this current moment. Now, with that being said, if something like this does come out, we can still see some opportunities to profit, whether that's filler skins or whether that's items you think are just going to become more valuable in an update. I think filler skins are definitely an opportunity that you should look into if you strongly believe in this area, although I don't necessarily know how likely something like this actually is. Now, talking about player numbers, we've seen these go down almost identically to what we've seen for the high tier market. A lot of high tier skins are actually down potentially 10 to 15% in the past month, which is a very strong decrease, or a very bad decrease for a lot of these more expensive items, because that's potentially thousands of dollars. Now, it's a little bit more for some items like the blue phosphor, just because it was hyped up a little bit more coming into this update, and that's just honestly because this update's been a little bit of a disappointment, especially since the release of CS2. We haven't seen any brand new content. recent, which isn't bad for the game itself, but it's bad when the investing market kind of pushed it up to something it was going to be. The CSGO market likes to get excited. Remember the 10-year anniversary, all we got was a capsule. People were excited because they thought something was going to be released on that date. I don't think in the long term this is necessarily going to be the most impactful, but especially in the short term here, this is probably why I wouldn't be investing into the high tier market at this point, just because we could probably see these decreases continue, especially for the next couple of months if we don't end up actually getting anything. Now, talking about agents, it might not actually be the best idea to pick some of these up. That's because we can look at the player counts and see that people are starting to slightly leave the game, but more than that, we can look at why agents have been going up in price, and that's because we've seen a lack of an operation. We haven't seen an operation in 2 years. If you think there's an operation on the horizon, agents are an area that get constantly hammered when we see a ton of agent skins released, and I think with an operation, we would probably get some more agent skins, making this area definitely a little bit more risky than it would need to be unless you're picking these up just for a play skin itself. Another area I would definitely be very cautious about is the active duty cases. A lot of these cases right now are sitting in a pretty precarious situation because they're very propped up by the current unboxing numbers we're seeing, and if these unboxing numbers fall even slightly, these cases are definitely going to go down. Combine that with the fact that even upon their removal, I don't expect them to see a very significant increase like we've seen in the past, and I don't think a lot of these cases are actually sitting in an optimal position for investing unless you end up with a very lucky scenario, which they end up getting very hyped up after they get removed for no particular reason. Now, talking about upcoming events, we don't have anything super structured other than the CS2 major, but in my honest opinion, I find it very unlikely that Valve would wait until after the Christmas season to go ahead and release an operation. Christmas time is the most beneficial, especially considering Valve is a US-based company. We see a lot of consumer spending during this time, and it's a great opportunity for Valve. We can look at the past 3 operations. There's a reason why they were running during the Christmas season. It's a very strong opportunity for Valve to make a significant amount of money during this time, and they would be missing out significantly if they didn't do so. And we can see that very obviously when we look at whatever metric we're trying to look at. The Christmas season is when you want your items to be for sale, and Valve knows that. Now, honestly speaking, should you be investing right now? And the truth about this is it's probably a little bit dependent on what you're investing into. If you're investing into something for the long term, like we're talking cases, we're talking capsules, we're talking things you know are going to be a safe, solid investment, holding out is probably not going to be in your best interest. A lot of these items that are good investments, and once they get a little bit of hype, they shoot up very quickly, and that's the major portion of your growth. If you miss that, you're missing out on a lot of the potential growth with an item. And the truth about it is nearly every single actual good investment usually looks a little bit like this roughly right here. You can see we see a major period of growth, then we see that growth lose maybe 20 to 40% of that, and then we see a period of stagnation where people just decide they don't want to invest into this item anymore because the hype's not there, and then we see the exact same thing happened again. It's why they refer to the Sticker 2 capsule so often, because we can see exactly why. We know long term it's probably going to be a pretty decent investment, but it's gotten to $30 price point just because of people's ignorance at this point. But that's all I got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.